They say that mastering your comedy voice takes a long time. I've been doing comedy about 15 years and there's some truth to it, but if I were to start all over, I would use time to my advantage. One thing I've realized is that your identity and your sense of humor changes with time. But if you get started in comedy and you already know that in advance, how can you use time to figure out how you become funny? In this video, I'm going to show you how to master your comedy voice faster. I'm Manny Garavito, I'm a comedy coach, and I help people find their sense of humor and create a lifestyle out of it. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Let's get started with the presentation. So we're going to be calling this presentation Master Your Comedy Voice Faster. Take advantage of time to find the funny fast. And this presentation is specifically for the people that want to get started in comedy and want to get good as fast as possible. And what makes this approach so unique when it comes to comedy writing is it's time-based, meaning we're going to be using the way you perceive time as a tool for coming up with the funny. And it is true that a comedy voice does take time, especially all the intricate details and ways of figuring yourself out and the personality that you must cultivate. But if you take advantage of time, you can get to know yourself and how you come up with the funny way more quickly. Picture this as an active way of being aware of you becoming the comedian you want to be. And when it comes to time-based comedy writing, there's three things to keep in mind. There's the anticipation, the in-the-moment awareness, and the reflection. Now, to go a bit further into explaining this, if let's say you wake up and you anticipate something funny happening in your day, in your week, in your month, maybe even years later, something like you on your wedding day or you on your deathbed even, and you come up with something funny in those scenarios, you can actually figure out what to say or what to do to make it more humorous. So if you list upcoming events, whether it's short term or way off into the future, your brain gets into the state of comedy today, right now, at this moment, rather than waiting for the moment to happen. So let's say, for example, something that stresses you out that's going to be happening later on that evening. If you start looking for the funny now, you're going to be in a way better position to be funny when it's happening. So take notes and make it for yourself, whether it's a journal or something on your phone. Start anticipating something that's going to be funny in the near future. Next up is recognizing the funny in real time. And this takes a little bit of mindfulness. So staying present and alert as something funny is happening in your everyday situation. And when you see it happening, notice the details of what is funny. Why is this funny? Why are people laughing? Why did I find that funny? And there's many ways that you can do this in real time. You can visualize it. If you see something happening, you can blow it out of proportion or exaggerate it to make yourself laugh. You could use the yes and method that they use in improvisation, where someone says something funny and then you want to add to it. You can go that route. Having curiosity, asking funny questions, maybe even role-playing a scenario. Getting into play is the most important part for being present and in the moment. Also doing things like observing, things like people watching is something I enjoy doing whenever I go out to a mall or something. I just watch and see something funny and make up my own narrative on what's happening. And also listening to your own voice memos or listening to someone as they explain something to you and being present allows you to be humorous right then and there. Next up, we're going to be looking at reflective humor analysis, which is where you look back at something that happened in the past or something that happened earlier in the day, and you're going to start pointing out the things that could have been funny if you were a little more present. And this is an exercise that allows you to be funnier the next time something similar like that happens. This is a great exercise for stand-up comedians. For example, if they were working the crowd and the crowd were to say something funny, but he or she didn't catch it at that moment, you can go home, write what happened in your own notepad, and then when you go perform again and you see something similar happen, you then are prepared for the funny. This has worked for me multiple times whenever I ask someone a question and they say something that's very common. The next time you can anticipate it by looking back in the first place and writing something funny for it. When you do an end of day comedic recap, you can review all kinds of events and jot down
what could have been funny in those moments and to have a better observation that'll make you more keen for the next time it comes around. And the benefits of doing this exercise of what I call time-based comedy writing is you're overcoming writer's block, you are compounding the funny over time, and you're developing your identity through the humor. And to go more deeper into this, how does one overcome writer's block with time-based writing? It helps you maintain a continuous flow of comedic content. It goes on. As you're perceiving life, as you're going through your own personal life, it continues. There's no end to it. There's a past, there's a present, there's a future. It's always providing you material if you know what you're doing. And those 3 moments that you perceive, it becomes different perspectives. The old you, the current you, and what you anticipate to be the future you. And having those 3 moments allows you to get more material from different perspectives. And when you have these 3 starting points, it's way better than starting from nothing, like looking at a blank page or wondering what you're going to be writing about, because you are already there and you're currently there and you're going to be there. So let's look at compounding the funny. When you rotate through these 3 perspectives, you get a more connected approach. It's sequential. Picture it like the prequel, the current movie, and then the sequel. And then when the sequel happens, it's the prequel to the next version. And so there's no end to it. It's just ongoing chapters. And this is a really good way for you to get a better feel and practice to a more richer, more nuanced comedy style, because it's been happening for a prolonged period of time. So if you do this exercise continuously, there's going to be a compounding effect in finding your funny. Next up is developing your identity through humor. And when you compile the funny stories and memories, your version of you has a better sense of its own humor because it's memories. It's something that you remembered that happened, and it's something that you could use as a way to explain something that is happening or that will happen. So the more you develop your identity through humor, the more you can use the humor in your everyday life. Then you can analyze the themes and styles as they emerge, whether you're making the voice memos or you're writing in your journal and you reread them or you listen to them or you watch yourself performing, or even the content. If it's funny content you're creating, you can look at your timeline and you can get a theme going. You get a style that you can actually identify with. And what this does is it allows you to recognize your own personality patterns. And you could get the steering wheel to develop the personality you'll need in order to find the funny fast. By the way, I do comedy coaching, and if this video helped you out, make sure you visit my website, mannygaravito.com. I'll show you how to master your comedy voice faster, as well as anything else you'll need in order for you to use your sense of humor in your everyday life and actually creating a lifestyle out of it.
I think one of the reasons why finding your comedy voice takes so long is because some people just don't have a structure or a system to come up with material to help them identify what their sense of humor is. But if you use time-based comedy writing, you can definitely get a way better footing on getting started with the funny. Once again, if you enjoyed this, do subscribe. Don't forget to visit the website if you want to learn more on how to find your sense of humor and create a lifestyle out of it. I'll see you on the next lesson.